Hey guys, welcome back to Lovin Dubai show. Today we have a very special guest with us, Thomas Jung, the US Consular Chief at the US Consulate General in Dubai. He is here to shed light on everything related to the US visa, wait times to address visa backlog, the voting process, and many other things. We are very excited to welcome to the studio. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and happy International Women's Day, right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Before we jump into our interview questions, I would just like to give a quick apology. Because before the show, I introduced you as Thomas Young, when in fact it's Thomas Jung.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
And I'm Chinese American, and my father's from China. And so when he immigrated to the United States, our surname is in Chinese it's Zhou, right, and in Cantonese it's Chao, right. And so when he went to the United States, there was a kerfuffle with the paperwork. They gave him Jung. And so that's my surname.
And you never wanted to go back?
No, we never. We didn't want to go back on that. That was the decision that was made, and that's my name, and I'm proud of it.
Strong name.
Yeah.
Strong name.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. That's nice. So let's jump to our interview questions.
Yeah.
If you could tell us about the backlog and how long is it?
Oh, okay, sure. So. What the State Department does every week, they publish the wait times for non-immigrant visas around the world. And so we're required to report this every single week. And I know that when before I came here to take on this job, I realized that the wait times were quite long. I think I remembered seeing some numbers. It was like 600 days, 650 days. And when I arrived here, I spoke with my team and we said, okay, well, how can we get this down? What better uses of technology is there, and how can we improve our processes? And now, if you look at our wait times, it's a little bit under a year. So we chopped it down by almost 1 year, and so far the trend line is continuing to go down. And we'll continue to look at our processes, and we'll continue to use technology to get that down. And when I spoke with my staff yesterday before this interview, I think our wait time was approximately 300 days. So we're making progress there, and so I think that's a good point to have. And a good point to make. I also want to just mention that that's the wait time to have a face-to-face interview. And I also think it's important to inform people that there are other ways to apply for a visa. Okay, and especially for those people who currently have a visa and they would like to renew it. If that visa is about to expire, or if that visa has expired within the last 4 years, you can actually mail it in. You can actually mail it in. We'll take the application, we'll adjudicate it. We'll adjudicate it in our office, and we'll mail it back to you. And that saves you time from going into the consulate and making an appointment and having to wait. And we also recognize one other thing too, that there is some urgent travel that people have to do to go to the United States. A business deal, wanting to go study in the United States, a medical emergency. Okay, and we recognize that there are urgencies there. And so if you do make an appointment and there is something urgent within those categories or those buckets, there is a function within our appointment website where you can actually select that, provide a justification, and then one of my staff members, they go through this every single day. They will review it and they will decide whether or not to try to make your appointment, assign some urgency to it, and then we can look at it quicker.
I think that's amazing to hear for anyone who has family in the US, for example, to know that that option is there.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. So I'm traveling to the US in a month or two.
All right, great. You're speaking to the right person, right?
I have many questions.
Okay.
So does the visa wait time, how does it actually work? What is the process to obtain a visa? Is it based on nationality? And also, how are you reducing the wait times further? How will you get down from 300 to 100 days?
Yeah. Well, even maybe further than that we hope. So, one of the big things, one thing that's really interesting, being the consular section chief here, is that we adjudicate applications from pretty much everywhere around the world. I think, my staff was telling me that easily over 160 countries, right?
Wow.
And so, we'll look at it, and each applicant is different, and we will basically look at each applicant's situation, and then we'll apply the law as best as we can as a standard to determine that application. Now, I'm sorry, if you can repeat your question again, I'll just, I'll try to answer it more directly.
So what is the general process for someone applying for a visa?
The general process, yes, right. Well, we have a third-party contractor who handles our appointment system. And so you can get this information through our main website. And so we have a U.S. mission to the UAE website. You can go on there, select where you would like to apply, whether it's Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and there is a link that you can access. And so when you access that link and you create an account, there will be a menu-driven process, and you simply follow that menu-driven process, selecting the time that you would like to have your appointment, what is your purpose of travel to the United States, providing basic information like your name. And if you follow that menu-driven process, then it should take you, and you should get some pretty satisfactory results.
So, I need to get on that immediately.
Yeah, and that's one thing too, just plan ahead. So I told you a little bit about our wait times. You know, if you are planning to travel to the United States, think ahead, plan ahead, try to make your appointment as soon as you can. And again, if you have some urgency there, whether it's the business appointment, studying in the United States, a medical emergency, please make that clear. And there are options where you can highlight that.
Got you.
Yeah.
So you have mentioned that it's different to each and every applicant, right? And some of the applicants, let's say they are from countries that, let's say, it's harder for them to get a visa to the United States. However, they're either like born in countries that are like, let's say, okay with the United States, right? So what are these checkpoints that, let's say, an applicant needs to check? Are things that you look at before giving them a visa?
Yeah, so let me go ahead and explain one thing here. You had mentioned that there might be a link between what country you're from, what passport you have, and whether or not you will have a greater chance of receiving a visa or not. And I want to I don't want to emphasize that much because it really is a person's unique situation, and more importantly, what is the purpose of travel to the United States? And so, you know, according to our law, we can go ahead and issue a visa, a non-immigrant visa, to a person who has a legitimate travel to the United States and who's going to stay there for a temporary period of time and who's going to conduct lawful activities. And so that's what we look at for each person. It doesn't matter if a person's from, let's say, the UAE or the People's Republic of China or from Italy or from Saudi Arabia. Those are the standards that we look at. What is your purpose of travel? What do you plan to do? And then we'll ask related questions to make sure that at the end, if you satisfy the law, we'll go ahead and issue the visa. And so that's it. And there's no, I would say, it's not like, oh, well, if you're from this country, then definitely not. That is not anything in the law, or that's not part of our practice. It isn't. Yeah.
Very interesting that you've clarified that. A question that came through as well, which we just kind of love your clarification on, is what is the waiver program?
Oh, yes, the interview waiver program. Okay, so the interview waiver program, we realized, and this was a bunch of years ago, as the department was trying to process cases and handle our volume, if you have repeat travel to the United States, and if you use that visa properly, and you've been to the United States for temporary travel for a lawful purpose and you left the country, well, we can renew your visa, then it becomes a lot easier. And so if you have demonstrated that, okay, so if you have a visa that has been issued and it's about to expire, or it's expired within the last 4 years and you've used it properly, just mail it in. And it's just our way to help expedite the process so you don't have to wait for such a long period of time to do something which should be pretty pro forma. And so, just going back to a little bit about wait times, I know that, people look at the wait times that are in Dubai and they scratch their head and they say, well, this is a problem. Like I said, we're going to try to get that down. We will use more technology. We'll try to tweak our processes, and we will try very, very hard to get that down, because ideally, it should be, it should be 90 days or less.
Is it because there's such a massive volume of applicants coming through, or do you think it's something that can be improved with rather manual processing, and AI can fix it?
Well, I see that. Yeah. And as I speak with people throughout, and it's not just in the consular realm, but in the private sector as well, what you're seeing here in terms of wait times, it's just sort of like the after effect of COVID and basically supply chain management. There's a point in time where people weren't able to travel. There's a point in time where we weren't able to staff our posts adequately. And so now there's a rebound, and it's just taking a little bit longer. So right now I'm fully staffed. Hope to get a few more resources so that we can increase our efficiency and our effectiveness. I can only do so much in the building that we're in, right?
100%.
And so, like I said, tweaking our processes, looking at better uses of technology, and then also having interviews like this, where we can inform our consular clientele and we can inform our applicants. Listen, there's some things that you can do which make it easier, and we have certain channels too to help expedite your visa process. And if you do those things, and if you take advantage of some of these channels, we'll have some good results going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Casey and you have spoken about the waiver program.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what are documents that are needed for it?
Well, all of this information is going to be on our website, okay? And so there's a link that we have. It's called a navigator, and so it's a menu-driven process where all the information can be found. But basically, if you submit your passport with your old visa, and you submit a DS-160 confirmation sheet, and then you showed proof that you paid, that's pretty much it. And then, of course, depending upon the visa category itself, I just mentioned to you what the requirements are for, let's say, a business tourist visa, B1, B2 visa. For a student visa, we might need to see an extra document about the school that you're going to. If you're, let's say, an exchange scholar visa applicant, we might need to see another document just to kind of as part of just our process and our regulations. And so it varies a little bit by little bit, but the bottom line is a DS-160 confirmation sheet, your passport, the old visa, right? We need to see that, and if it's still valid, we have to cancel it and give you a new one, and then proof that you paid, and mail it in. MPost does this, and we'll get it, we'll adjudicate it, we'll send it back to MPost, and you're on your way.
You did mention about mail it in. So do you mean physically mail it? That's what we're...
Yeah. So it's there on the website, and we use MPost, and so what they will do is they'll courier it to us. Okay, we'll take a look at it in the office, and then we'll use MPost, and we'll send it back to you. I
just wonder about consulates around the world. Would you kind of connect with the Irish consulate, the Turkish consulate, US, and would you just all use the same technology?
Oh no, each country is different, and each country's immigration rules are different. And so, how we process a visa and what our requirements are to receive a visa to the United States could be very, very different from Italy, Ireland, the European, to get a Schengen visa or to go to Japan. So it's all very different and it's unique. Yeah.
So the U.S. elections are coming up.
Yeah.
And there are so many U.S. residents here in Dubai, in the UAE actually. Yeah. So how would you say the voting process goes for them in the UAE?
Oh, well, the voting process. Okay, well, first of all, I think one thing I want to say is that we want to encourage people to exercise the right to vote, okay? And what makes the United States perhaps different from other countries is that voting processes are not centralized, okay? Voting processes are dependent upon each state. So we ask our residents, our U.S. citizens, to go back to your home state, to contact the voting authorities of their respective states, get instructions and get clarifications on how to register to make sure you're a registered voter, and what the process is for mailing a ballot back to your home state so that you can make a decision and you can vote on, let's say, a presidential candidate, a senatorial candidate, a congressional candidate, or even local elections. Okay, so we encourage them to get in touch with their local authorities, make clear what is necessary to mail in a ballot, and then what we at the consulate can do to help you. There's a variety of ways to send that completed ballot back to the United States. And one of the things that we offer is that if you've completed it according to your state's authorities, there's sufficient postage, just drop it off and we'll mail it for you. And we can do that for you.
Interesting, because I was going to say, you want to make the voting process as easy as possible for people, right? So I was thinking, do you think that there could be improvements there to make it, is there any way that could be kind of more efficient? Well,
all I can say is that we offer that service to our U.S. citizen population if they want to mail in a ballot to the United States. And and I think this discussion is taking place at the state level too, they're looking at ways to make the voting process secure and making the voting process in a way where people can really exercise that right to vote. Yeah.
Well, I would like to ask if there are any recent changes or upgrades, of course, regarding the visa application process for the residents in the UAE, regarding as well the U.S. consulate in Dubai.
Yeah, well, I think the processes that we have, the changes that we made are all back of the house, really, just to try to make things more efficient so we could process things at speed and with accuracy. And again, you know, depending upon the purpose of travel you have to the United States, if it's urgent, please highlight that, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll make a decision on it. And again, we have staff; they look at every single one, and they will make a decision there. And really, plan ahead. And here's some pieces of advice I think for people who wish to apply for a visa. So first of all, you know, you have to fill out the application form, right? Please make sure that it's accurate. Okay, if you can provide accurate information, that's a good thing. And then also when you're at the interview, my officers will ask you straight questions. Okay, please give them straight answers. Okay, just be straightforward, be honest. That honesty is the best policy in this case, because if you try to guess what we want to hear, then things get a little bit weird. And then if things don't make sense, then we start having questions, and then we start asking more questions. And if things don't hold, that doesn't serve you, right? And then, and this is another thing that I found out when I took the job here and I started looking at the way people applied for visas. Now, there is going to be a small percentage of people where we have to look at the application a little bit more. We might have to do some more research. We might have to do some more administrative processing. Now, when that happens, please don't start a new application, right? Don't create a new appointment. And I've heard this too. Some people then try to apply for a new passport. Please don't do that. When we say, well, we need some more time to do administrative processing, please be patient. We're going to bring that case to conclusion, and we'll tell you definitively yes or no. So if you can do those three things, then that would help you, and that's going to help us.
Those tips are extremely interesting. As someone who shall be applying for a visa very soon, can you give me just one example of a question that people don't answer straight so I can make sure I'm giving a clear answer to?
Oh, well, you know, like I said, it's you know, every person's unique. Every applicant is unique. For some people, based upon the totality of the application that we have, we might ask like one or two or a few questions just to do some confirmation. For other purposes, we might have to ask multiple questions. And so, like I said, just be honest with us, okay? Make sure your application is accurate, give us straight answers, and you know, if we have to hold up your application for administrative, don't apply for a new passport. Just be patient, please.
My passport's going until 2028, thankfully, so I shall not be applying for a new one. We have time for one last question. Before you leave us, we have to ask, especially for the American audience today, where is your like favorite spot to go to in Dubai where you can get like good homegrown grub? Do you have one?
Homegrown grub. Okay, so I'll tell you this.
You could get two answers here.
Oh, no, you're getting a lot of answers. I studied hotel management before I joined the American State Department, the U.S. Foreign Service. My father used to be a chef. I love food. I love international cuisines. What is the place that I go to? Bukatir.
Ooh.
Okay, Bukatir. I visited Bukatir in 2013 because Anthony Bourdain said so. And when I was making a transit to Afghanistan, I went there. I thought it was some of the greatest food ever. And so then when I came here with my family 7 months ago, I said we should go to Bukatir. And they haven't disappointed. And we take people there when they come, we take our friends and we take visitors there to eat. And that's one of my favorite spots.
You've inspired me to go back because it's changed a lot in the last 10 years, right? It's not the kind of, what was it, like the truck on the side of the road with the chairs outside?
It was a simple structure with chairs outside. And then when I went there, I was like, wait a minute, you have a dining room and it's air conditioned. And so, which my wife really enjoyed, and but the food hasn't changed. It's wonderful. We go there.
Love that so much. Top tips from the U.S. Consulate. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh,
that was
you.
Thomas Jung. We really appreciate you clarifying those points. We really appreciate your time this morning.
Anytime. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That is all we have time for on the Lovin Dubai show this morning. We're back with you on Monday morning. Please stay safe and please do not travel on Saturday unless it's absolutely urgent. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.